We're going to model this chair in Fusion 360, thanks to the people at Unto This Last for not consenting to me stealing their chair. Component 1 is fine, but got to make sure we start in a component because of rule number 1. Insert, canvas, insert from my computer. I'm going to do the front view first, and I'm going to insert that on the plane that, according to this view here, is like the front back plane. I'm not going to scale it for now. I'm just going to insert it. I'm going to do that again for the other one. Insert, canvas, insert from my computer, side. I'm going to put this one on the right plane. And both of these images came in a pretty good spot, but they're the wrong size. So I'm going to find these canvases, which are in the component because the component was activated when I created them. And I'm going to calibrate them both by clicking 2 points and saying 75 centimeters. And then calibrating this one, picking 2 points, 50 centimeters. Great. Now I'm going to make sure the origin is visible, and I'm going to move the front view so that it's symmetrical about that blue line. And I can just do that by eye. Great. We are finally actually working. So you might notice something interesting about this chair, which is the reason I selected it, is none of these planes, none of these facets, none of these panels are flat or straight up and down, except maybe this front piece right here. That looks like it might be straight up and down. But everything else is kind of offset. So I'm going to start by building the sides of the chair. And I'm going to do that with, I think I have to do that I'm going to do plane at angle. And what this is going to let me do is going to let me construct a plane that's tilted. So I'm going to select this green line because that's going to let me select a really small plane. Oh, come on. Why is it so small? And my goal here is to make this line here, this orange line, parallel to this line. And there's probably another way of doing this. I'm just distracted because the first 2 times I tried to record this didn't go that well. So I'm just going to do negative, I'm going to do 10 degrees. No, negative 10 degrees. No, negative 80 degrees. There you go. I want it just 10 degrees off of vertical. And now that I have that plane, I can do an offset plane to get it away from the angled plane. And now my goal is to match that angle. Great. 10 degrees seemed like a really good guess. Now that I have that plane there, I can actually make a sketch. When you click the Create Sketch tool, the thing it asks you for is anything planar or anything flat. So I can click on any of these planes, or I can click on this one I just made. And now I'm in a position where I can actually start tracing this thing, which I am going to do. I'm not going to include any fillets. I like to do fillets in the 3D space, not in the sketch space, because I find it to be better. Why does this keep snapping to things? No, snap to grid. Snap to grid is the worst thing. Turn that off every time. There's no reason why you'd ever want to do CAD on a grid that I've ever encountered. If you want something to be precise, you type the number you want. And I'm going to add dimensions and stuff later. I'm just getting it pretty rough. But like there seem to be some fillets, for example, on the inside right here, on the inside of this corner. But I'm going to add those later when it's in 3D. And I think that will be better. Okay, not great. But I'm going to go in now and I'm going to fix it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to Modify, Parameters. I'm going to make a thickness parameter. And that thickness parameter, I'm going to make it 0.5 inches, which is like 12 and something millimeters, 12.7 millimeters. I could also type 12.7 millimeters. That's the only parameter I need right now, I think. And the reason why I need that parameter right now is I'm about to make a slot right here in this chair. And that slot should be thickness big. These three lines should all be lined up, and they're not. So I'm just going to line them up with collinear. That could have gone better, but now I can drag this, and then drag this. Oh, come on. Yep. This is CAD. Control Z, 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 Z. I'm going to delete these two lines and replace them with one line. And I'm going to get this to be closer to collinear before I apply that constraint, so it doesn't change by as much. There we go. Now if I move this, it also moves that. Great. I'm not going to futz. I can always come back and look at this and mess with this later. I think there's also going to be a slot on the bottom here, but I'm not sure yet, so I'm gonna look at the design. This is set to be horizontal. This one isn't. So I'm going to set this to be collinear with this, because the chair should be flat. So collinear with that. Great. And I'm going to drag these up and down until they look good. And again, we did all of that work slanted at an angle, which is pretty cool, because that would have been really hard to do any other way. Great. I'm going to finish the sketch, even though it probably needs some more work. I'm going to hide the canvases. I'm going to hide the origin. And I'm going to hide angled. And naming these so I don't get confused because there's going to be a lot of them. I'm going to hide both of these too, just so it's clean. And now I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to extrude this out by thickness. And at this point, it's like, oh, this component I just made, this component's name is side. And because we designed this thing, or we placed this thing so that it was symmetrical about this plane, we can create a mirror of that component. Sorry, I'm going to save because having a crash in class would be really embarrassing. Yeah, starting to look a little bit like a chair, right? Yeah, so next we have to decide what part we want to make next. I'm pretty tempted to make the back. Let's look at the photos. Yeah, I kind of want to make the back. This part here, this one trapezoid, which is cool. Okay, so in that case, we don't actually need the canvases so much right now. The plane we want to work on is the plane that's kind of exists between these two lines, you know, because it's slanted backward. So to construct that, we could do a plane through two edges, or we could do a plane through 3 points and pick 3 points, but 2 edges seems easier. The reason why it can't work on this plane or this plane is because those both tilt in. And that's not what we want. So I'm going... Oh, let's do those ones first, actually. So I'm going to actually make a new component now called back wing. And I'm going to start that component right here on that plane. And then I'm going to turn the canvases back on. And I'm going to draw it out. And this is flat, and this is maybe like that, maybe this is like that. Cool, I think this actually whole thing should be up higher. Like here. Let's give that a shot. Finish sketch. Canvases. Extrude this out. That too. Thickness. And then I'm going to activate this home piece, and I'm going to do a mirror of the back wing across that same plane. And now we have two back wings. And again, we can look at colors. Oh, it's so much more pleasant. Why would I ever use Fusion without the rainbow mode on? Cool. And now it's time to make the center wing, or the center back. So I'm going to make a new component once more. And I'm going to do construct plane from two edges. And again, what this does is it just makes a plane through two edges. And for those edges, I am going to use, these two. And I'm sure there are other options. Those are the ones that they feel good to me right now. I'm going to create a sketch here. I'm going to draw a line from the top down. I'm going to make that into a construction line. So right now this is a regular line. And if I draw a circle here, you can see if I mouse here, it's like, oh, I have a half circle, a circle segment and a circle segment. But if I make this into a construction line, it then ignores that line for purposes of selecting regions, which is important because when you're extruding things, the last thing you want is to have to click a bunch of different divided up sections. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So now I can just be like, okay, maybe this goes to here, and then to here, and then to here. And now I can go into create mirror, and this is the sketch mirror. This is a little bit different. And then for the mirror line, I can select this line. And notice right now it selects the entire shape as one, but if I turn this into a regular line, it then divides it in half. And that's it's fine, it's just a little bit more annoying. So construction lines are good when you don't need to actually use that line for anything but a reference. Cool, so now I'm going to extrude this to thickness. I'm going to save. So far this doesn't look that much like the chair. These are very similar. This is a cool tool. You can look at anything. Yeah, this tilt here is really subtle. So I might mess with that in a bit. Or maybe now. Let's look at the chair again. I don't see a good photo that shows it, but this here looks like it's a lot more tilted. But let's just leave it for now. The next piece is I want to connect these three pieces to the two pieces that are kind of in red. So I'm going to call that back. Is it a gusset, a strut, a bracket? I'm going to call it a bracket. And for back bracket, it's not going to be able to be the full height of the slot. So I'm just going to make it thinner, I guess. I'm going to do plane through two edges again, through this edge and this edge, and then we get that nice plane. And now I can do create sketch. There's this cool tool called, under create, it's like project, but it's a little different. Intersect, and what this does is actually takes three-dimensional things, figures out where they cross your plane, and includes all that geometry. So now, if I hide everything else, didn't I? Oh, I had to do it twice, sorry. Intersect. Isolate. So now I have this geometry. Oops. Which is like all the stuff from the chair. Oop. If I unisolate, you can see this is like all the two-dimensional places where the chair hits. So I can now make a bracket type thing that's like same thing with the line from there down. Make it construction. Zoom in and be like seems kind of complicated. This is a complicated chair. Cool, and I'm going to mirror that. Across this. I think this worked. This needs some work. I'm kind of going through it quickly because I don't want to. Okay, let's just pretend this is great. So this has some problems, but so this is the basic idea, is that you would just have, like, you can see that I need to adjust it. Like, I need to go in with like the push-pull tool, for example, and be like, this face here, because things are coming in at angles, can't actually look like that. It's got to be like more like that, and this face here. Oh, wait, where's the slot? There is no slot. I got to add the slot. One thing that's frustrating about working with 3D software and making things on the router is it's kind of like a 2D tool. If you want to see the places where things are intersecting, to go to Inspect Interference, you can select all the parts and then click Compute. And it'll be like, here are your problem areas. So yeah, there's that little one I tried to fix, and then there's one I forgot about, which is that we need a slot in the chair back. Cool. I'm going to pause this because this. The first thing I want to fix is like the I don't like the angle of these. I don't think it's enough. So if I go back in time to just after I've created this yellow piece, and I go to the Move tool and select Component, Back Wing, moving bodies is generally not as good as moving components when you can avoid it. Moving faces is really fun, but really weird. You can just be like, You can just move. You can just like sometimes you can rotate them. It's really fun, but usually it's not what people want. So I'm going to move components. I am going to rotate the component, and I'm going to rotate that component from this line because I don't want it to hit anything. There we go. Oop. And I'm just going to do it until it feels right. That looks good to me. And then capture position. Now I'm going to fast forward. And now notice that because of the mirror, they're both tilted now. They're both at like 15 degrees. And if I go back to the green one, I can move that too. And I want to move this backwards until it's not proud of its friends. That's a sad sentence. Everyone should be proud of their friends. But I meant proud as in like the opposite of shy. Like this shy, there's flush, and there's proud. For like protrusions. Cool, I'm going to drag this forward again. Oh, I forgot to capture. Cool, so this is already looking a little better. Kind of. I'm actually just going to delete everything after I'm going to delete the whole orange part. Delete everything after history marker. Great. I'm going to start that orange part again because that wasn't very good. So again, I'm going to make a new plane. Construct plane through two edges. And I'm going to do new sketch. And I'm going to do create, project, include, intersect. And I'm going to do faces or specified entities. This one, and this one. Just going to do it twice. I want to do this one. That little face there. So project, include, intersect. That one. Great. Cool. Okay. Now, again, I'm going to drag that line from the top. The reason I have to zoom out for this is because for whatever reason the origin of the sketch is way up here. And you want it to be exactly in the middle. I'm going to join this to this, these two things. I'm going to intersect one more thing. Intersect this back piece here. And I'm going to drag this to this. And this to this. And then this to this. This to this. Okay, how's that looking? And then I'm going to do a create mirror of this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, this line. that line, not that line, and this line. Mirror line is this one. Okay, how are we looking? Now if I extrude this, oh, I broke my rule. Back bracket I didn't have activated, so I got to move this sketch I just made into back bracket and then activate it and hope that doesn't mess anything up. Cool, that looks better. It's still got problems, but I think they're smaller. Like if I go to inspect section, no, not section analysis, inspect interference, and I drag a box around everything and then click compute. Interferences are really small, and I can fix these with the push-pull tool. So you see there's something on the side here and something on the top there. So I'm going to fix that with the push-pull tool here. Oh. Or maybe with the move face tool. Move faces. Okay. And then I'm going to change the view. I never use this style, but it might work for this. If you push and hold, you can get this menu of which face you want, and you can actually select from a list. This is really useful. If it's not letting you click the thing you want, cool. Now those two move commands, they exist in the timeline. And if I want to do the same thing on the other side, I can actually create a mirror of these two features. So in the thing I select features, and then I select them down here in the timeline. And you can totally mirror anything, including move commands. So now I'm going to click OK. I'm going to change the view back to visible edges only. And I'm going to do inspect interference once more. Okay, that's weird. Cancel. Damn it. Oh, I think I got messed up because I didn't follow my rule about being activated. So I'm going to do that once more. Oh no, that was all right. Okay, cool. Hold on. I'm going to... What's going on with the selection stuff? I can't seem to make this not blue. Select everything. There we go. There's still this weird clear box around that thing, but let's ignore it for now. For whatever reason, I had trouble mirroring those modifications, so I'm going to try it again, but I'm going to try doing them separately instead of together because they were on different components. So mirror features, the movement, mirror plane, that one, and then oh, I see. Okay, so for now I'll just leave it because let's see if I can do it. Cool. Create mirror features, this one, across that one. See if it worked. Expect interference. Okay, so I guess you can't. Let's focus on this area here, because that's the one where I fixed it. These now fit together, and like they don't fit well. But they fit, and that's good. The next question is, how do these parts? So right now, I'm going to make another component called back, and you can just use components as folders. Like for example, I could make these 4 components as part of the thing called back. And now you see this component has a new icon. It's like a little city of cubes instead of just a cube, because it's a component with components inside. And inside of back, you might notice that like I have no way to connect these two things together. I mean, I kind of do. And that'd be fine. I could just use screws or something, but it would be better to do something fancier. Like I could have on back bracket I could make little protrusions. Like I could add these protrusions to the back bracket, and then I could mirror them. So now I have all these protrusions coming out of the back bracket, and then using combine would be the easiest way. I can just be like, I want to cut this with this. I want to cut this with this. And I want to cut this with this. And now all these things have these sockets. Oops. There's a problem here. I forgot about the interference between these two. Needs a little bit of adjustment. Cool, and then combine this with this. Great, and now if I hide this bracket, you can see we have these pockets. And these can still be CNC'd, you know, because these are just, especially these ones. Wait, are these actually? Yeah, they're just regular pockets. They won't have sharp corners, but this is possible to CNC. Yeah, and then I would repeat the same for the bottom. I would repeat the same for the, you know, I'd go into the side and be like canvases, and I'd figure out how I want the bottom to look, and I would figure that out. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into making objects that are not rectilinear, but I think it's worth it. I think I'm going to end the screencast here, even though the chair isn't done. We would still have to add the bottom and these supports. But it's also worth pointing out that this chair is made out of the same plywood, the same multi-ply Baltic birch that we're going to be working with. However, this is 3/4 inch, and we're going to be working with 1/2 inch. Thanks for tuning in.